Good morning, Panthers. Happy Thursday. All right, it's our read aloud day, and I have another special read aloud for you. So today we are going to continue our learning about Black History Month. And one of the stories that I have for you today is nonfiction. It actually is based on real events, and it's called 28 Days, and it's moments in Black history that changed the world. And I know I've received messages from you guys how much you are enjoying being able to dive into our new virtual diversity library. You're learning a lot about all kinds of people that have helped shape and cultivate our history. And you guys are doing a great job with not only learning about famous people that you've heard about, but new people that you haven't heard about. And so today I'm going to introduce you to 28 Days, which is going to include some historical people that you may not have heard about, but have done amazing things to help shape our history. And so this is written by Charles Smith Jr. It's illustrated by Shane W. Evans. And it's 28 Days, Moments in Black History that Changed the World. Day 1, March 5th, 1770. Crispus Attucks is shot by a British soldier, beginning the Boston Massacre and ultimately the Revolutionary War. Crispus Attucks was a man self-made. Crispus Attucks was a man unafraid. When the redcoats turned on the colonists with guns, Crispus Attucks stood tall and challenged each one. One shot, two shots straight to the chest. Crispus Attucks went down, his heart put to rest. A slave, a sailor, a patriot was he. Crispus Attucks struck the first blow for liberty. First to defy, first to die. Crispus Attucks sacrificed for the flag we hold high. And it says here, Crispus Attucks was born a slave in 1723 in Framingham, Massachusetts. He was the property of William Brown, but the son of an African father and a Native American mother. In 1750, he ran away to work on whaling ships, but also worked on the docks and as a rope maker. The British troops, called the Redcoats, competed with the colonists for jobs, usually offering to work for less money. This led to friction and arguments between the troops and the colonists. Crispus and 4 other men were shot that day, and their deaths became a spark for the Revolutionary War. Day 2, March 6, 1857, Dred Scott decision denying the right of citizenship to Black people after slavery ended. We think they, people of African ancestry, are not, and that they are not included, and were not intended to be included under the word citizens in the Constitution, and can therefore claim none of the rights and privileges which that instrument provides for and secures to citizens of the United States. They had far more than a century before been regarded as beings in an inferior order and altogether unfit to associate with the white race, either in social or political relations, and so far inferior that they had no rights, which the white man was bound to respect, and that the Negro might justly and lawfully be reduced to slavery. He was bought and sold and treated as an ordinary article of merchandise and traffic whenever a profit could be made by it. And that was spoken by Chief Justice Roger Taney of the US Supreme Court. Dred Scott was born a slave in Virginia and was the property of Peter Blow. When his master died, Scott was then bought by Dr. Jed Emerson, an Army surgeon. Emerson traveled to Illinois and other parts of the modern-day Midwest, taking Scott with him. Emerson also died, so Scott went back to Mrs. Emerson to purchase his freedom for $300 because he lived for a time in Illinois, a free state. She refused. Scott then took his case to court to purchase his freedom under the premise that he was a citizen of the United States. Day 3, May 13th, 1862, Robert Smalls, a slave in the Confederate crew on a ship, commandeers it, sails it north, and delivers it to the Union. Under cloak of night, Planter disappears, stolen to freedom. Robert Smalls became a wheelman, which is a ship's pilot, and eventually a captain for the Union during the Civil War. He was the first Black captain of an American ship and ultimately achieved the rank of Major General. Robert was unable to read and write, but that did not stop him from speaking with President Abraham Lincoln about the Union using slaves in the military. He became a popular speaker and took that skill into politics, where he served 5 terms in the US Congress, working for the rights of Blacks. Day 4, July 9th, 1868, 14th Amendment to the Constitution overturns the Dred Scott decision. So remember back to the Dred Scott decision where it said that slaves are inferior, they do not get the same rights. This 14th Amendment overturned that decision. Section 1 says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. We are free to go, it says. Day 5, July 9th, 1893, Daniel Hale Williams successfully performs first heart operation before the inventions of penicillin, antibiotics, or x-rays. Stab wounded heart fills the chest with blood. No medicine. Doctor is tested. Chest incision reveals heart. With calm, doctor reveals skill. Daniel Hale Williams received his medical degree from Chicago Medical College in 1883. Upset that Black people were not allowed treatment in most hospitals, he opened Provident Hospital in Chicago, Illinois. Provident accepted doctors and patients of all colors. When James Cornish, a Black man, came into the hospital with a stab wound to the chest, Dr. Williams concluded after observation that Mr. Cornish had internal chest bleeding. Using new sterile techniques, Dr. Williams was able to avoid internal infection, and James Cornish would live another 20 years. Look at that. The very first heart operation was performed by Daniel Hale Williams. Day 6, May 18th, 1896, Plessy versus Ferguson decision, stating that separate but equal facilities were fair. That the Separate Car Act does not conflict with the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, is too clear for argument. A statute which implies merely a legal distinction between the white and colored races, a distinction which is founded in the color of the two races and which must always exist so long as white men are distinguished from the other race by color, has no tendency to destroy the legal equality of the two races. The object of the 14th Amendment was undoubtedly to enforce the absolute equality of the two races before the law, but in the nature of things, it could not have been intended to abolish distinctions based upon color or to enforce social, as distinguished from political equality, or a commingling of the two races upon terms unsatisfactory to either. And it says when Homer Plessy, a Black shoemaker, tried to sit in the white portion of a railroad car, he was asked to leave because of his skin color. He refused and was arrested. Plessy decided to sue, arguing he was protected under the 13th and 14th Amendments. His case started in New Orleans and progressed all the way to the US Supreme Court. So even though slavery was abolished, you can see here that still the government wanted to keep these races separate. Day 7. April 6, 1909, Matthew Henson and Robert Peary reached the North Pole, the very first men to ever do so. Mari Paluk, the kind one, adventurous, tenacious, teacher, historic, educated, world traveler. You see the acrostic that they did there with his name? Matthew Henson was orphaned at age 13. From then on, he traveled the world, starting on a steamship from Baltimore. At age 21, Matthew met Naval Lieutenant Robert Peary at a hat store, where his boss recommended him for a job on an expedition to Central America. Many expeditions later, Henson and Peary attempted to reach the North Pole. It took several attempts before they were successful. Upon their return home, they were treated as frauds when another explorer claimed he had reached the North Pole first. More than a year later, their claim was proved true, and Peary was given many honors and medals. Henson received nothing and was not recognized until 1944. Mari Paluk was the name given to him by the Inuit Eskimos. So even though he was one of the ones that had reached the North Pole first with his white partner was the one who earned all of the credit for it. Day 8, March 10th, 1913, Harriet Tubman dies of pneumonia. And this is a eulogy. This is what's said when somebody passes away. Here lies Harriet, a life fully lived for 93 years, born into slavery, put to housework at age 5 under mistress's watchful eye. Harriet, born Araminta, managed to stay alive. Was young Araminta, called Minty, greeted with the whip, the start of each day? Yes, she was. When she stole a lump of sugar, did Minty endure 4 days and 4 nights in a pig pen fighting an old sow and 9 of her piglets for potato peelings and old scraps in the trough to escape a beating? Yes, she did. Did Minty endure a blow to the head that cracked her skull, giving her a lifetime of headaches, blackouts, and visions? Visions she felt were messages from above. Stunning visions of flying and freedom, terrifying visions of hoofbeats and mothers screaming as babies are stolen. Minty endured. Oh yes, Sister Harriet endured. And that endurance was tested as she dreamed of freedom, the dream growing stronger each day after her sisters were sold away. Araminta Ross soon became Harriet Tubman when she took her mother's first name and her husband's last name. And Harriet was no longer a child, but a young woman. Oh, how Sister Harriet yearned for freedom. And if you knew Harriet like I knew her, you would know that she believed there was one of two things she had a right to: liberty or death. If she couldn't have one, she would have the other. Through the guidance and kindness of others, she escaped Maryland, a slave, and entered Pennsylvania, a free woman. The joy, that glorious golden day, was a nectar Harriet knew others had to taste. So rather than enjoy all the sweet freedom alone, Sister Harriet soon found herself running back home to deliver her family from slavery. A task she accomplished, which was no small feat, a task she would then continue to repeat. From south to north, she delivered slaves, guiding them at night under the stars' gaze. Any slaves on the journey who wanted to retreat had a pistol pointed at them as Harriet silenced. Celebrated in the north, a wanted criminal in the south, Harriet continued, but as the years passed, she took care of others, especially the elderly, including her father and mother. Harriet, we salute you, courageous and brave. Harriet, we find strength in you, always unafraid. So this was a eulogy that was written and read for her. Harriet Tubman was known for her work as a conductor with the Underground Railroad, which was not an actual railroad, but a network of people and trails used to help slaves escape to the north where slavery was illegal. Through the use of song, slaves were able to communicate with each other. Through the use of quilts, slaves were able to know which houses were safe for them to approach for help. Harriet became very skilled at leading slaves north and took pride in never losing a passenger. Harriet's skill was put to use in the Civil War, where she worked as a nurse, a cook, and a spy. Working with slaves, Harriet got information about the Confederate Army that led to many Union victories. For all her help during the Civil War, Harriet Tubman was buried with full military honors in Auburn, New York. Day 10, May 25th, 1919. Madam C.J. Walker dies as the richest Black woman in America. And it says here that when Madam C. Walker died, her wealth was estimated at over $1 million. She was the wealthiest Black woman in the country at the time and one of the wealthiest Black Americans. She took great pride in building her company and spent as much time donating money to various organizations like the NAACP to support causes concerning the Black community. And if you've never read about Madam C.J. Walker, it's a fascinating story. So I encourage you all to read it. And by the way, this book is one of our library books. It's one of our new ones. So you're able to check it out. So if you want to learn more about these moments, be sure to go online and check it out. Day 11, June 15th, 1921, Bessie Coleman receives her pilot's license in France, since no American flight schools accepted women or Blacks. Bessie Coleman was a dreamer. She dreamed one day she would be somebody. Bessie was smart. She had education. She loved to read books and solve number equations. Bessie took her dreams up north to see her brother's barber shop in the Windy City. Bessie got a job filing soldiers' nails, and she listened as the soldiers told her tales. Tales of lady pilots flying high, doing figure eights and loop-de-loops in the French sky. So Bessie sailed off to France, learning the French would give her a chance. And given a chance, Bessie took off and flew on the wings of her dreams into the wild blue. So Bessie Coleman was 29 years old when she received her pilot's license from the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale. Since the license was international, Bessie was able to fly anywhere in the world, something she would not have been able to do if she studied in the United States. Robert Abbott, publisher of the Chicago Defender newspaper, told Bessie of the schools in France. The newspaper sponsored her and covered her story as she made progress. So look at that. She was the very first woman to be able to fly because American pilots were not able to be women or Black. All right, we've got a couple more because we're going to do half the book today. So we've got the first 14 days and we'll do the next 14 days on the second read. Day 12, August 9th, 1936, Jesse Owens wins his 4th Olympic gold medal. The eyes of Hitler focus in on the track and on Olympian Jesse Owens, American and Black. The son of a sharecropper and grandson of a slave lines up in the starting block as the Nazi flag waves. Eyes focus forward, feet ready to run. Then the Buckeye bullet explodes at the gun. 3 winning races and 1 long jump victory earned 4 gold medals and a place in history. Jesse Owens was the first American track and field athlete to win 4 gold medals in a single Olympics. He tied the world record in the 100-meter dash, set an Olympic record in the 200, set an Olympic and world records in the first leg of the 4x100 relay, and set an Olympic record in the long jump. His record-breaking feat proved that Black athletes could compete at the highest level of the sport. He was born in Alabama, but raised in Ohio, which is where his nickname, the Buckeye Bullet, came from. Day 13, April 9th, 1939, Easter Sunday, Marian Anderson performs at the Lincoln Memorial. Lincoln looms large over a sepia songbird, chirping a sweet sound over a sea of 75,000 inspired faces made up of various races. Wide eyes witness a historic first, while millions of ears become immersed when the songbird's voice spreads across the land through the power of radio. Souls stir as the songbird floats on heavenly high notes filled with the promise of freedom, justice, equality, and liberty. The pride of Philadelphia, born of humble beginnings, Marian Anderson stands majestic, the eldest of 3 female siblings. The self-taught songbird sang for kings and royalty in foreign lands long before she could sing for thee. The segregated American, united musically. On pitch-perfect notes, Marian sang of we to a country divided by the definition of equality. Caged by color, the songbird took wing, and America's spirit soared when it heard Marian sing. Marian Anderson was scheduled to perform at Constitutional Hall in Washington, D.C. for a group called the Daughters of the American Revolution. When the group refused permission for Marian to sing to an integrated audience, one of their members, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, resigned and invited her to perform at the Lincoln Memorial. Marian's opening song was My Country, 'Tis of Thee. And also, I want you to notice what the author and illustrator do here. So do you see on this page how it has separate words, not only separated from the paragraph, but in a different color? And you can put those words together, sweet land of liberty, of thee we sing. And that actually comes from My Country, 'Tis of Thee. All right, the last one for today. April 15th, 1947, Jackie Robinson, the first African-American to play in a Major League Baseball game. Pigeon-toed foot in well-traveled cleats step onto the field ready to compete. Blue socks rise under bright white pants of the rookie first baseman with the bat in his hands. Dodgers on the front, 42 on the back of Brooklyn's new ball player, first name Jack. Last name Robinson, skin color black, digs in, carrying his race on his back. The first man of color to step up to a pro plate, rose through the ranks despite taunts of hate. But fear and taunts couldn't hold Jackie back in baseball, basketball, football, and track. A 4-sport star at UCLA, Georgia-born Jackie fought hard just to play. Eyes focus in on the pitcher on the mound, ready for a fastball aimed at his crown. A cheer rises up from every black face as the first pitch is thrown and the color line erased. Jackie Robinson went on to become a star, second baseman for the Brooklyn Dodgers. The diverse population in New York made it easier for Jackie, but he still endured racial taunts as he played across the country. All right, so we're going to stop there for today. I have 14 more amazing stories, great moments in history where Black people helped to change the world. And so on the second portion of this read aloud, I'm going to read the next 14 for you. So I hope you tune into the next one. I hope you all have a great day and continue reading and growing your knowledge because it's very important. All right, we'll see you later, everyone. Bye.